there you go.
I just got through half of the video.
Okay.
I'm wondering, so this new district, what happens if we don't vote for it? I didn't get that far. And what does it do? What does this district do?
Great. So I'm gonna hand that question over to Chris, and then Chris, if you want to hand it off to somebody else, you can do that as well.
No problem. Hi, Denise. My name is Chris. I'm a senior management analyst here with the Department of Public Works. So this district, so we do have an existing landscape and lighting maintenance district in your area. It's called LLMD number 13, and it does provide the landscaping and lighting maintenance services in your area. So that's existing. It's been in place for, I think, 30 years now or so. If the new district, and I guess I should back up saying, this district currently does not generate enough revenue to be able to maintain the current level of services in your area, just because costs have outpaced even CPI increases over the years, just costs for the specific needs we have in this district. And so just over time, all of our expenses have outpaced the revenue that we are legally allowed to collect with the current assessment rates we have in place with the existing district. So to solve that issue, what the city is proposing is creating a new landscaping and lighting maintenance district, which will essentially replace the existing. Sorry. Which will essentially replace the existing landscaping and lighting maintenance district as the service provider for those services. If the new district is approved, the existing district will be dissolved after 5 years. And let me just confirm that real quick. I think this is one of the districts that received a loan. And I'm sorry for this pause here.
Okay.
Yes, okay. So because the existing LLMD number 13 wasn't able to generate enough revenue to provide services, the city issued a loan of about $150,000 to the district so that they can provide services through fiscal year 22-23, which ends June 30th of 2023. So if the new district is formed, we will keep the existing district active just for a 5-year repayment period, and all the services, landscape and lighting services, will be provided under the new district. If the new district is not formed, then we'll just continue business as usual. The services will be provided under the existing district. However, you'll start to see services taper down just because we're not able to generate enough revenue to support those services at the current levels. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I'm wondering, when we have these contracts with these landscapers, who looks at the actual, well, I guess you guys do, but the quantity of money they're asking for specific things. I live in East Ridge and I'm just found this out, but we have a small area in front of our guardhouse. Requires 2 flats of flowers, and they charge us $1,000 to replant that. I find that to be astronomical. Who's checking the prices of what they're doing for us on Green Valley Mangles? I mean, are they prices that are within a reasonable amount, or are they gouging us there like they're doing here in East Ridge?
Oh,
Chris, you're muted.
sorry, Chris, you're muted.
Thank you. I thought I had unmuted myself. So these contracts are open to any contractor that would like to bid on them. So they're open bid contracts. What we've actually seen here in the city is that there's a couple of contractors who consistently bid and have consistently bid throughout the years. Up until January 2020, the city had a policy that we accepted the lowest bid for all of our contracts. So we were kind of, I don't want to say pigeonholed, but we had to select only from the handful of contractors that bid, and then also the lowest bid out of that group. So I would say it's kind of hard to say if and maybe, I don't know if Paul or Ryan can maybe speak to this too, but it's kind of hard to compare our prices to maybe another city or even another region in California, just because what we understand for landscape services prices vary really based on, it could even be from city to city or even parts of cities, you know, part of a city to another part of the same city. So it is reviewed by the Public Works Operations team and engineering team. But that was the process up until January 2020. And recently we've gone to a qualifications-based bidding process. And the most recent bids were, and actually, Paula, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was just TerraCare, or did we have two other bids for North Cordelia, this most recent round of bids?
Yeah, I can add a little bit to that, Chris.
Okay,
So,
thank you, yeah.
yeah, when we kind of changed policy or practice to wanting to move away from a low bid procurement to a qualifications based procurement process, our staff reached out to 3 landscape contractors that the city was interested in working with that had a good reputation, provided great work either in the city or in some surrounding cities. We had good discussions with two of those companies. One of those companies ended up kind of backing out, still interested in working with the city, we think, but couldn't commit to large contracts at this time. We did get proposals from TerraCare, who's doing the work now and doing a great job from what we can see so far and from what we've been hearing from the residents in these 3 larger districts. Overall, costs have increased substantially in the last year. And so even in one of our other contracts where we've had Dominguez Landscape, who's been doing work here for many years, they recently tripled the price of their contract, saying they could no longer do business at the price that they were doing it. They were losing money. And so it has gotten a lot more expensive. We're going to continue to seek multiple quotes. So, we're going to seek, even as we're going to qualifications-based procurement, we're going to be seeking 3 quotes at minimum, if we can get them, if we can get that many contractors interested, because we want to get the best value for all of our districts.
Okay, well, TerraCare is doing a pretty adequate job. They've been working on Green Valley Road for a while, and there's still piles of leaves they have put together but have not picked up, and they've been there for months. Parts of Green Valley look great, and other sections of Green Valley look like a half-assed job. So, and I don't know, maybe I'm too picky, and maybe it's price, maybe I don't know, but parts of Green Valley look good. We have a lot of trees and we have a lot of leaves in our plants because they're just high density plants. It's hard to get the leaves out. I understand that, but it just seems like they keep blowing the leaves into the plants and then they just pile them up and then they don't pick them up. They do pick them up. It's kind of a little bit all over the map on Green Valley Road. And they're not replacing any plants. Is that a money thing? Because we have on Mangles, there's huge sections of no plants.
And maybe
No,
Gary,
so-
can you add anything to that for us?
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Paul. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Gary.
Okay, sorry. I'm in here as an attendee, not part of the panel. But yes, TerraCare is working on doing just that. They are moving section by section. When they do an area, they are very thorough. So some of the areas you're seeing, they might not have gotten to, but the areas they do complete are looking very good. And then as far as the planting, the annuals, those are not currently in the contract, I believe was your other question.
No, it's not about annuals. It's about the foundation plants. They're gone. I don't know if it's a water issue that that sprinkler system hasn't been fixed, a broken sprinkler. I don't know, but we have just foundation plants have been cut off at the roots and it's a bare spot and it looks ugly.
Okay, yeah, I thought you were talking about the annuals. So yes, there are multiple places where the irrigation was not working with the old contractor. And you'll see again, TerraCare is out working with our internal irrigation crew, getting irrigation back up and working. And once they're up and working, we will be replanting those plants, the perennials.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I just wanted to add to that as well, with this new district that's being proposed, we are setting aside a reserve for just that capital replacement, the capital being the landscaping items, plants, trees, shrubs, that type of thing. So in the new budget being proposed, there is a budget set aside for that purpose.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. All right. I see Mike's hand up. If you can go ahead and talk, Mike, you are unmuted. And Denise, just so you know, I am going to mute you.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned that we currently, you can hear me now, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
We currently have District 13 and you want to kill 13 and replace it with another district. Will the new district have the exact same boundaries as 13 does now?
Yes, that's correct.
So what's the point of doing that? Why don't you just raise the rates instead of going through all the bureaucratic hassle of killing one and starting another one?
Sarah, would you mind?
Yeah,
Yeah, Sarah, go ahead, take that.
So that has to do with an initiative that was passed in California in 1996 called Proposition 218. So in order to increase any assessment after January 1 of 1997, you have to basically go through the process that we're going through now, which is to create a new engineer's report and go through a ballot proceeding and so forth. So we are, all that to say, we're legally required to go through this process. You can't just ask for more money in the same district because the engineering standards and so forth have changed as a result of that law.
Wow, so every time costs go up, you got to delete the old district and create a whole new one?
If your district is newer and is in compliance with, with all of the provisions of Proposition 218, there could potentially be some occasions where you have all the same improvements, all the same parcels, et cetera. You potentially could do a rate increase without substantially rewriting your engineer's report, but you still have to have an engineer's report that substantiates your assessments every time you do a rate increase. Yes, that is correct.
And
just,
oh,
so I was just going to say, and just to add to that, this engineer's report of this proposed district, the assessment rates that we're proposing will include an annual CPI increase, not to exceed 3%. That way, hopefully over time, that we can keep up with those increases over time, especially with the built-in reserve budget. We're going to be tucking away some money for a rainy day on those years where actual costs exceed CPI. But hopefully we don't run into this problem again because we are building in that automatic inflator.
I see. So building in the CPI increase means you don't have to go take another election every year just because prices have gone up?
That's correct. Yeah.
And thank you for reading my mind, Chris. That's exactly what I was going to ask. All right. So I know Denise and Mike have asked a question. We have quite a few more callers on. Does anybody else have a question? Again, to raise your hand, you are going to click the little smiley face at the bottom with the plus button. It's the reactions button. And there you'll be able to raise your hand. All right, it doesn't seem like anybody has any question. Oh, there we are, Mike.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, it sounded like someone said that the costs have tripled from last year. So are all our assessments going to triple?
No, sorry to clip. Thanks for asking the question. So I was just describing an example. One of our contracts with Dominguez Landscaping, who does work in different areas around the city. They were doing work under a contract with us that that had expired, but then they had continued to work on a month-to-month basis. And then just recently, it was just a few months ago, I think Gary could probably confirm, that they said, we can't do this month-to-month contract at this price. Here's our new proposal to do this same work, and it was triple the cost of that contract. So the costs that were, to clarify, the costs that were incorporated into this proposed district and these proposed assessments, what we did is we used the proposal that we received from TerraCare for these 3 large districts, and using that proposal, incorporated that into the engineer's report and costs. So basically, we can, we could hire TerraCare or a company like TerraCare going forward to do that kind of higher level maintenance work.
So overall, what is the percentage increase from the old cost to the new cost that you're building in?
Chris, do you know that?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
about, it's doubling. It's doubling. Current expenses are about $700,000, almost $800,000. What's proposed in the budget is $1.3 million. But some of the new line items, I would say, are full tree care for all the trees in the district. So this full tree care is not just the standard walkway clearances. It's going to be for a regular, a routine tree pruning for all the trees in the district. So that's something that hasn't been budgeted in the past. I talked about reserves earlier. That's going to be about $100,000 of contingency and reserves. And that's just based off of 10%, about 10% of the budget for landscaping and street lighting. I believe that's probably the only new items that we have built in. But the idea here is to get adequate funding, like Paul was saying, so that way we can have the option to select a landscape service provider like TerraCare if their prices happen to be a little bit more than what we're used to seeing with maybe New Image or Dominguez. But I think the most important pieces is that capital reserve line items, the contingency line items, and the tree maintenance.
And I wanted to just add quickly to that, that doesn't mean that every individual parcel assessment has doubled. You should go to the CivicMic.com website and look at your individual parcel, because with the new sort of engineering requirements that I mentioned, there are the way that the assessment is spread is a little bit different than it was before. So you can actually see what your current assessment is and what your new assessment is going to be.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how are those assessments calculated parcel by parcel?
Have you looked at the engineer's report at all?
No, I looked at my assessment, but it was kind of mysterious. Is it calculated by square feet or by the value of my house, or how do they figure that out?
Definitely not by the value of your house. That's actually one of the things we're not allowed to use as we calculate these assessments. So there's a number of factors that go in. The first thing we have to do, and again, this is all referencing back to Proposition 218. The first thing we have to do is separate the general benefit of the improvements from the special benefit of the improvements. And the general benefit actually comes off the top of the budget, and that is cost related to maintaining the improvements that is not borne by the parcels in the district. That is actually the general benefit contribution that the city makes. So once we pair that piece off through the analysis, and this is all detailed in the engineer's report, so we can talk a little bit more specifically, but I'll answer generally first, and then you can let me know if you have more questions. But once we do that, then we allocate the special benefit to each individual parcel. And in order to calculate that, we look at a variety of factors, including land use. We're looking at trip generation information, or average daily trips. And then we're also looking at the lot size and building size of each individual parcel to make those calculations. And from there, assigning a point system that represent the share of benefit overall for each parcel in the district.
So did I hear you say of that 1.3 million, part of that is being paid by the city of Fairfield, and then part of it is paying by
And
us
just-
through these assessments. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
How much? How much does the city
Um,
pay and how much do we pay?
Yeah, though, so the total cost of improvement is $1,334,346. And then there are two general benefit contributions, one related to the lighting improvements, one related to the landscaping. And those total, what is it, 170, I'm trying to add two numbers right here in my head, but 173,000 roughly.
So the city pays 173 out of the 1.1 million or 1.3 million. And all of us pay the rest in these assessments.
As general benefit. And then the other piece is that we are obligated to collect assessments from public property as well. So the city is for any parcels that they own within the district would also be paying an assessment separate from what their general benefit contribution would be.
Mm.
I'd also like to add that the commercial parcels right there off Business Center Drive and so I think it's just Business Center. Well, all the commercial parcels from I-80 on north, yeah, they are also being assessed. So they are sharing in the cost of the special benefit that's being apportioned to all the property owners.
Mhm.
Yes, so for example, Mike, Sarah mentioned all public parcels are now going to be assessed. So just for example, in that neighborhood, you have the school district's property for Nelda Mundy Elementary. And then there's a park, Vintage Valley Park, which the city owns. They would be assessed for that property as well.
And I'm on Julia Berger Circle, and right behind the mailboxes is a big, I don't know what you call it actually, some sort of flood control thing with grass growing in it. What do you call that? Is that part of your responsibility? It's a big fenced in area. I guess it's some sort of flood control thing. There's plants growing in it.
Hi, Mike. This is Ryan Punganeben. I'm the Assistant Public Works Director, City Engineer. So that's a detention basin.
And is that part of what you guys do in 13, or is that somebody else does that?
That would be part of the city's responsibility because it has public benefit.
City meaning?
I believe that's separate from the LMD. Chris, can you confirm that?
I'm sorry, I don't know what area we're talking about. I was trying to find it here on the screen.
The corner of Business Center Drive and Julia Berger Circle.
Off Collect Lane.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that's not taken care of by the LLMD.
It's
not a maintenance
separately maintained by the city.
Detention basins would be responsibility of the city. Correct.
Yeah.
You call that a retention basin?
So stormwater, sorry, sir. Like when stormwater is collected off of the streets, they get prior to discharging to the city's collection system, it gets water quality, sediment, oils, all that type of stuff in the stormwater get collected in that basin and then get conveyed to the stormwater system.
Mm. I always wondered what that thing was. It's right behind the mailbox where I go every day. I know it's not part of what you guys do, but I was just curious.
All right, thank you, Mike. So I'm gonna mute you, Mike, just for now, and then Carol, I see your hand is raised. You can go ahead and I'm asking you to unmute so that you can ask your question.
Okay, well, actually, two of you, Paul and I think you answered a couple of them. I was going to say where to find it, because Mike was asking the same questions a lot of my friends have been asking, is where do you find my assessment? So it's all online and in the engineer's report. And quite honestly, I have friends in Green Valley and they were asking me a lot of questions on Monday. And I said, well, the businesses like Costco went to $40,000. So some of these businesses are taking a huge chunk of what you're getting an increase. And I believe it was like 3,000 before, and Safeway. I mean, these guys are getting big numbers that, they'll have to pay.
Yeah.
Because they have large, however it's figured, they have more, whatever it is. So, and I did read the engineer's report, but I can't remember all that detail.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Carol. And I was going to show everybody just how to get there if anybody on the call is not aware of where they can find their assessments. So I just pulled it up, and so now I'm going to share a new screen. So if you go to civicmic.com/City of Fairfield, or you can just put Fairfield, you will be able to get to this map, which if you come, you're scrolling down, and you will go here and you will type in your address, and that will lead you to, let's see, where's 13? Your parcels in your LLMD. If you type in yours, it'll direct you straight to yours, and you can see everybody or your amount. So I'll just do a, sorry. So here's somebody, so you will be able to see what your new rate would be if the district passes the new district, and what your past rates were for the last 2 years. And so we highly recommend that you go and look at what the costs would be. So thank you, Carol, for mentioning that. All right. So I see Mike's hand up again. Mike, do you have another question, or was it just not lowered? Oh, okay. All right. So let's see. Denise, Paul. And just so you know, if you don't have any questions today, you can go to civicmic.com/Fairfield to find more information. Or if you sign off and you realized you had 8 questions and you just forgot to ask them, you can go to you can email us at contact@civicmic.com, and we will definitely answer any questions that you have. Let's see. That being said, I'm going to put this back up, and then I can ask a few questions that I know people have been asking, and then hopefully that can take up some of the time and answer some questions. So Sarah, something that I have been getting quite a bit of is when it comes to the general and special benefit, how is that determined between what is general and what is special benefit?
And so the process of calculating the assessments and the sort of overall engineering is first to identify what the benefits are, what the improvements are, where those improvements are located, and then what those benefits are. And the way that we calculate general benefit is really looking at the pass-through traffic, estimating what the pass-through traffic is, because those are folks that are driving by, benefiting from the lit streets at night, benefiting from driving by the, landscaping, maintained landscaping, et cetera. And so we're trying to determine how much of the traffic in the area is pass-through traffic. And so in order to calculate that, we're looking at the total trips that are generated as a result of the development in the assessment district. So for each of the land use classifications, we're looking at the average daily trip rate from the Institute of Traffic Engineers Trip Generation Manual. So sort of the standard source there for that information. And then we're looking at the functional classification of the streets in the district and what the capacity on those roadways is related to the city's transportation demand model. We're looking at their level C of service, kind of the mid-range, so not the high end, not the low end. And so we're calculating the total trips through the district and estimating how many of those trips would be related to the district property to come up with a percentage. And then we're applying that percentage as a weighted percentage to the share of improvements that are on each of the major roads throughout the district. So again, really using data that we have available to us as it relates to traffic, so that we can estimate what share of the overall traffic is related to pass-through trips and would be considered general benefit, as opposed to local trips, which would be considered special benefit. And again, that's all detailed in the engineer's report, which is available on CivicMic, and there's some explanation about that in the presentation from the in-person meeting that was held a couple of weeks ago, if you would like to watch that.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Did that bring up any questions for anybody else on the call? And I just want to mention again, just in case, if you forget how to raise your hand, it is the happy face with the little plus, and you'll click that. Denise, I do see your hand up. Do you have a question? I'm going to ask you to unmute.
I do. I see on the map that the area off Knightsville Road, which is a watershed area, I believe, is full of homeless people, and I know the city does come through and ask them to leave and cleans up their mess, but, and then maybe this is not your department, but what can we do to, because I know they're camping out against the highway wall too. I don't know what we can do about the trash that they leave behind. I know I walked by Green Valley Creek and there's shopping carts in there, but that's probably not your department.
Yeah, we actually,
go ahead.
yeah, I can take it, or Gary can jump in. So it's a combined effort. Denise, our police department does a lot of the heavy lifting in contacting our homeless and posting camps. There's a lot of laws that really kind of limit what we can do and how we do it, and how we're able to post the camps and clean up camps. Once we go through that, once our police department goes through that process of posting those established homeless camps, then Public Works, we do have a Public Works team that clears the camps, all what's left behind when the camps are moved, to clear those areas, including the trash and debris that's left behind. It is an ongoing challenge. And so that area, we're aware of that area, and Gary could speak to that area. There was a massive cleanup effort there near that location you're talking about, near Knightsville Road, particularly under the highway under 680 I-80 interchange. That, was like I think 3 or 4 full days with 20 people that Caltrans brought. Gary has probably more stats on that. The areas under state right-of-way, under Caltrans right-of-way, Caltrans has jurisdiction over, and we need to wait for them to clean it up. Thankfully, they did that a couple of months ago, but we know that there's still remnants of camps and people still occupying those areas, and Gary may have more on the latest in that area.
Yeah, just to continue on with what Paul was saying, we did have a 4-day cleanup that went from basically Knightsville all the way over to Central, under 680, under 80. And we did remove those people, remove the trash. The problem that we have is they just go to another area, set up camp, and then that needs to be posted again. And we do the same thing over again with PD posting, and then our team comes in and does the cleanup. But it is, like Paul said, an ongoing effort for the time being. We don't have a way to just move them because of the legal issues.
Okay, so how do we clean up the creek? Because like I said, there's shopping carts in there and bicycles, and how do we do that? Is it a community effort?
We do have a volunteer coordinator. If you wanted to get a group or a neighborhood together, we can make that happen. Are the carts, are you talking right there in Green Valley where we just did the cleanup about a month ago, or is this a
No.
separate area?
Yeah, these are in the creek. Not towards Mangles, in between Mangles and Business Center. There's part of the creek there that you can see, and there's shopping carts. I think that's where it was.
Okay, yeah, the shopping carts, I'll take note of that. I wouldn't want volunteers going down and trying to get a shopping cart out of the mud. So I'll have one of our supervisors check that exact area and get our HEART team, the homeless engagement and response team down there to pick up the any carts that are down there and trash while they're there.
Okay, well, it was easy to see from the bridge or wherever I was walking. So anyway, okay, thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Denise. I do see a caller on the phone. I'm not sure if you're able to raise your hand, but if you do have a question, you definitely can unmute yourself and ask them.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, this is Sue Campbell. I've been really studying this whole assessment thing, and just a couple of mentions about what I've heard. Number one, the East Ridge flowers I know very well because I serve on that committee, and that was a massive boondoggle that cost $800 and was never repeated, so we can throw that away. As far as TerraCare, I think they're doing a really good job based on what they have. I personally am very sorry to see all the dead trees and the dead shrubbery. And the way that I understand it is those things cannot be improved if we do not pass this yes vote for the new assessment district, that it will just continue to go downhill. As a property manager, I can say how important landscaping is to property value. It's paramount. So for me, this is a no-brainer. This is a yes vote. But what if this does not pass for whatever reason? I can't imagine. But what if it does not pass? Is this going to be what I perceive to be our only and last opportunity to make this happen? I mean, what will happen if it doesn't pass other than things will continue to degenerate and you guys will be left with a woefully underfunded budget for what we as neighbors want to see? What will be the next step?
Hi, Sue, this is Chris. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Michelle.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, I was just going to hand it to you.
So yes, actually, you pretty much had it spot on. Yeah, we have the existing LLMD, but that is underfunded, as you mentioned, to be able to provide the level of services that the residents are used to, and I think that a lot of the residents are looking for. So but to answer the question as to whether or not this is the last chance we have to increase this rates, the answer to that is no. Actually, we can continue to do Prop 218 votes every year until, you know, enough people vote or until enough people don't vote against it because it's a majority protest vote. Anyway, keep doing this every year until it passes. The thing about that is it's a very expensive process. It's a very, long process. We would have to make sure that the engineer's report is kept up to date, which of course, for those types of services that NBS is providing, their engineering services, very technical, very specialized. And so it is it is an expensive service. We'd have to send out ballots again to everybody. And so we do have an opportunity to vote again next year and the year after, but what we would hope is that this first vote, this first round of balloting really does represent what the community wants. We hope that a lot of people, all the people vote. That way we do understand what the community wants. And it's not a case of, people not participating and then we have an outcome that doesn't necessarily represent what the community actually wants.
And then just to add to what Chris said, the costs to do those additional balloting procedures, if that were the desire of the district property owners, that cost is borne by the district. And so then that further depletes the revenues or the reserve that's available. And so then that means less landscaping maintenance, essentially, if you're
Well,
spending.
that is a
each year.
massive key point as far as I'm concerned right there. Yeah, that's massive.
Thank you for that question. And
Yeah, I will really hone in on that one, because that really is something that people need to understand. The other thing that I would weigh in on is last night CivicMic was good enough to put that engineer's report up again. I'm not a numbers person. Carol's in your audience. She is. I'm not a numbers person, but I've got to tell you that even I can understand that report, and it is really, really well done. So someone who has not read it, I don't think will really understand what's going on here. So that's what I'm recommending. Get hold of that, read it, and understand what you're up against, because it's really, to me, very significant. But thank you for that extra information. I did not have that yet. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue.
thank you, Sue. All right. Well, it is 6:12. Denise, your hand is still up. I'm gonna not sure if you have another question. It is down now, so I'm guessing not. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I definitely can ask some questions that I've been receiving emails about. All right, then, I'm going to ask Sarah another question. Sarah, can you explain to the panelists how the weighting of how the ballot procedure works and how the weighting works, just so people know how the district would either pass or not pass?
Yeah, and just hearkening back to our friend Proposition 218, this is all, in the California Constitution and the statutes that implemented that law. So the ballots this is not a typical vote. It's not a vote of registered voters. It is a ballot proceeding wherein property owners are the parties who have the right to submit a ballot. And so they would, you would receive a ballot. Each individual property owner would receive a ballot, and that ballot will have your assessment amount on it. So wherein a normal kind of vote that you're used to for, president or, what have you, is one vote per voter. In this case, your ballot is weighted by the financial obligation or assessment amount that is assigned to your property. So in effect, that means that it's kind of $1, one vote. And so if I have an assessment amount that is $100 and Michelle has an assessment amount that is $200, her ballot is worth twice as much as mine. And so, that is how they're tabulated. Once we receive the ballots, we do look at only the ballots received, and we tabulate those ballots cast in favor, add up that assessment amount. We tabulate the ballots cast in opposition, add up that assessment amount. And if the amount in opposition is greater than the amount in favor, we have what's called a majority protest, and we are not able to move forward with the assessment formation process or approval. So if the opposite is true, then council would have the opportunity to consider the resolution forming the district.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. And I see, Carol, you have another question, so I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Just a quick question, whoever is best at answering it, because I've been asked this quite a bit, and I think Chris said it at the last meeting that was in person, that when the ballots come in and are tabulated, and of course they are weighted, as you just aptly explained, that they would be public record, and you could see that parcel number, 300 voted yes, and parcel 400 voted no, and parcel 500 didn't vote. How does that work?
Yeah, so the ballots do become public record after the ballot tabulation. And so, I mean, if anyone would like to go, to City Hall to examine those, you're welcome to do so. But the tabulation itself, I mean, and that's exactly how that will work. I mean, the ballots are available as public record after the fact. So they are open to inspection from that perspective.
Did that answer your question, Carol? So I
Well, I knew that, but that seems to be the one that everyone was asking about from that meeting. So I wanted to hear, and you might hear it in a half an hour.
Great. Yeah. So I just wanted to, yes. So it's not like that would be like up on our website or anything. That would just be at City Hall for viewing after as public record.
Got it. That's great. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Well, it is 6:17. If we don't have any other further questions, we can end early. Does Chris, Paul, do you guys have any other statements or anything that you would like to say, Ryan?
Thank you. Thank you for coming out, everybody, or logging in.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for your time and spending part of the evening with us. Hopefully you're all signed up on CivicMic to get updates. If you have questions that come up after you hang up here, then feel free to send in your questions through CivicMic. Michelle's usually on the other end of that and helping us answer and field questions and responding back to you all. And then there's going to be additional information. You guys saw the recent post on the engineer's report. Additional posts from CivicMic are going to come out in the coming weeks leading up to the ballots being mailed out, which is just after the 18th of April. So look out for that. And yeah, thanks for engaging with us.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes. So that email address is on the screen as well as civicmic.com/Fairfield. So if you want to snap a picture of that, it is available. All right. Well, I just wanted to thank everybody who is on the call. And if you don't have any further questions, please feel free to sign off. Thank you.